We are in a blizzard of lies. Everyone was very exercised by this, quote, Ukrainian journalist, Daria Kaleniuk, who delivered quite a lengthy rebuke to Boris Johnson in Poland today for his failure to close Ukrainian airspace and send the RAF up to shoot down Russian warplanes. Ms. Kaleniuk turns out to be one of the World Economic Forum's global young leaders. That's the youth wing of the Davos jet set, run by Klaus Schwab. Let's have a picture of Klaus Schwab because he deserves to be more famous. Let's see. Oh, yeah, look at it. That's him presiding over the Supreme Intergalactic Council of other shape-shifting lizards from Alpha Centauri. Oh, no, my mistake. He's getting an honorary degree in Lithuania. Anyway, Daria Kaleniuk is one of his chosen global young leaders, just like Justin Trudeau, Jacinda Ardern, and Emmanuel Macron were not so long ago. Fascinating as that is, that's not what first struck me about Ms. Kaleniuk. This was. That's her tweet today. No, NATO members will not close the sky over Ukraine. Leaders of NATO member states will come to the western border of Ukraine to do press conferences instead. These will be the children who will face the missiles, not NATO air defense systems. Shame on you, NATO. And underneath, as you can see, are 3 Ukrainian moppets beseeching Boris to close the skies over Ukraine. Now hold that thought. Hold that image. You'd have to have a heart of stone not to thrill to plucky little Ukraine taking on the Russian bear. President Zelensky, who has played an unpromising hand brilliantly in recent days, capped it all off with an ovation in the European Parliament earlier today. European Union countries who don't have any weapons of their own are nevertheless buying huge quantities to ship directly to Ukraine. At the same time, they're opening their borders to Ukrainian refugees, 250,000 in the last 6 days, almost all women and children. I wouldn't be surprised, given Western Europe's recent experience with quote-unquote refugees, if any of those Ukrainians will ever be going back, which is a bit of a shame, as the one thing Ukraine could use is children. Ukraine's main problem is not a shortage of weapons, but a shortage of people. In 1990, its population was 51.5 million. Today, it's officially just over 40 million, although certain bodies place it rather lower. But in essence, the population has shrunk by 20% since the collapse of communism 30 years ago. Large numbers of Ukrainians don't have babies. Hundreds of thousands of its comeliest and most nubile young women are working as prostitutes in the finest escort agencies of London and Paris. And if the EU were to agree to fast-track membership, the exodus from Ukraine would only accelerate. 15 years back, I wrote a best-selling book about demography, which is actually very difficult to do. But I did it because it explains most things going on in the world. China's demographic problems, its disastrous one-child policy, explains why it will move against Taiwan and assert itself elsewhere sooner rather than later. Putin's expansionist fervor is because Russia could use a lot more Russians, which is why he wants to, quote, gather up the large number of Russians in neighbouring states. Western Europe also has deathbed demographics. Angela Merkel's millions of strapping young male, quote, Syrian refugees are essentially the children Germans couldn't be bothered having themselves. But no one does deathbed demographics like Eastern Europe, from Bosnia to Moldova, including Ukraine, which according to the Population Reference Bureau has the worst fertility rate in the world of any sovereign nation apart from South Korea. Whether or not Ukraine needs more weapons, what a truly independent Ukraine really needs is Ukrainians. And instead, everything that's being proposed, from the UK's open-door refugee policy to instant EU membership, will ensure that Ukraine just continues to empty out until Vladimir Putin will be able to conquer it with his personal security detail. William